yoga and stretching is actually a natural component, a natural tool in order to awaken oneself, but at the same time enliven the body, get the body prepared for whatever it needs to be prepared for. You know, whether it's going out to work, going to school, and everybody does it. So that is one of the importance of yoga and stretching in itself. Another thing is this: when you stretch, you open up your sinews, it improves your general mobility, it improves your the way you move, and of course we want to be flexible. So a lot of people say that you know, to exercise, for instance, like if you want to use your muscles throughout your entire life, then you need to exercise, right? You need to exercise those muscles, because what happens when you don't use your muscles? They go into atrophy. They actually start to wither. So if you don't lift something up over and over again, after a while the muscles, they just forget how to. So the muscles have memory, and you have to constantly remind your body members about movement. And if you remind them about movement, they will continue to operate in that mode, continue to move for you, continue to work for you. So if there's any muscles that you feel you don't need, then don't exercise them. Straightforward. There's some people they know how stretching is good for them, but they may decide that they're stressed out and they want to do other things, you know. They need to take care of business, they need to take care of their lives, their children, do their chores. But one of the things is that if you just take 5 minutes, just 5 minutes of just stretching, like do a forward bend, or, you know, push your arms up in the air, or, you know, twist your body to one side. Just a few minutes of twisting and holding and breathing. If you just take a few moments, when you do that, I guarantee you're going to feel better. You're going to feel good. It's going to be that moment, that point in time where you're actually nurturing yourself. You're taking care of yourself. So that's one of the reasons why stretching is important, because it's actually self-love. You're actually loving yourself at that point in time. Men in the West, generally, they think that yoga is for women, it's for girls, or they think maybe it's a little challenging, and they start off with this idea that they're not flexible, so they're not going to try and be flexible. You know, they're not going to work on themselves to get flexible, because they think that they need to be already like bendy, already in a kind of a position to stretch out and to impress, probably. But the thing is, it's like the dirty person saying, I'm not going to take a bath because I'm too dirty. I mean, hey, come on. I mean, we all know how that turns out, right? We just get dirtier and dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. So the thing is that just start with a few stretches. That's my thing. And also, possibly could be the men that communicate a little bit different. Maybe they're not as open, for whatever reason. They're not as open as the masses of women that attend yoga classes, and they don't care who's there. They don't care if there's other men there. They don't care if it's just women in the space. They're just going. They're just going to those classes because they're focused on nurturing themselves, bettering themselves, developing themselves. They're really taking the mantle to do that. I know there's some men out there that also would do this as well, and they take themselves to the gym. They pump iron. They do calisthenics. They do martial arts. So I can understand that they're going towards something that is more dynamic. However, there are various yoga practices that are dynamic. And for instance, the yoga that I teach, I mean, Afrikan Yoga, I mean, it's really dynamic. And they can really develop themselves through that practice. So the thing about it is this is just men, they shy away, but I think men are coming through. Slowly but surely, men are coming through because they recognize that they have to bring the balance. Yeah, of course, stretching needs to be done daily to be effective. It depends on what you want out of a stretch, but yes, to increase one's flexibility is to do it daily. It's just like anything else. Like I said earlier on, that if you're not working your muscles, then your muscles themselves will start to not work. So stretching actually needs to be done on a regular basis. It's just like anything else. If you decide that you want to walk to Scotland, yes, and if you walk to Scotland and then you stop off, I don't know, at a hotel, or you stop off a motel, and you hang around, you wait at the motel and you start again maybe 2 days later and keep walking. You get to Scotland, but you may get to Scotland in a month or whatever. You may get to Scotland a little longer. But if you continue that walk without stopping off at a hotel, you'll get to Scotland a lot faster. So when you stretch daily in order to increase the time or shorten the time to your flexibility development. So you can develop your flexibility in a shorter space of time if you do it daily. I'm a man and I need yoga. I would say that point blank. That I see how important yoga practice is. And I think the men also need it. Men come to me all the time. They got issues and ailments, stresses, either whether they be personal, physical stresses, when it comes to their back, when it comes to their knees, their hips, whatever it might be. And I always recommend a stretch. I recommend that they do something about it. I recommend that they develop it. I mean, in general, everybody needs to get into yogic practice. So why am I campaigning for men? Well, I think that men need to engage with themselves a little bit more. There's a lot of issues that men are having that a lot of people are unaware of. For instance, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of men over 40 are now committing suicide. A lot of men have domestic problems and go through domestic abuse. A lot of men are falling out, in particularly the African and Caribbean community, with prostate cancer. So there's ways that they can combat all of these issues and these problems by engaging in healthy living and healthy lifestyle. And yoga is a tool for that. It's a key component for that. And if I can get some men, regardless to what their age, whether they be young or whether they be so-called middle age or whether they be young older ones, if I can engage with those kind of men and just get them to do a few movements and stretches in yoga and open that door or assist them or show them the door to them developing themselves, bettering themselves, healing themselves, then that's my job done, and I'm happy to do that. You know, so that's why I want to get men involved in yogic practice. Well, first of all, besides you feeling good and having that euphoric feeling, which is really great to have, because when you have a euphoric feeling, you feel young, you feel energetic, you feel good, you become magnetized. That, I mean, what I'm saying is now you begin to attract positivity to yourself when you feel that. But that is like also one of the great things, or a byproduct of practice. Another byproduct is that your internal organs begin to operate, begin to get into balance. So practicing African yoga is fantastic. Now let's just bear in mind now, let's talk yoga now. So when you are dealing with yoga, we're not just talking about stretching now. We're talking about how you eat, your meditation, mindfulness, awareness of yourself. You know, getting into that awareness of yourself by taking times in the day just to focus on yourself. Sit, breathe, meditate. Even if it's 5-10 minutes of time that you take out just to do that, just to be able to do what? Center yourself. Balance yourself so you can get up and go again. You know, being able to have those still moments is a part of yogic practice. What you intake into your body, now as you know, all men that are out there that work out, you know that you need adequate nutrition for your body to work. You know that you need the adequate amounts of protein, the adequate amounts of carbohydrates, okay? You need the right fruits, the right vegetables, the right amounts of food in order to feed your body so that your body can work at an optimum level so that you can do whatever it is that you need to do. You do those reps, you put in those reps, you do those movements. You're feeding your body through good nutrition. You're also cleansing your body. You detox your body, and also you build your body through nutrition. Now, that's something that, you know, we can all look at in order to better ourselves. And when you eat right, you feel better. Your organs work better. So that's another aspect of yogic practice. So it's not just about exercise, it's not just about stretching. But let's get to the stretching and the exercise. Now, with stretching and exercise, you begin to stimulate the hormones in the body. Okay, that's one of the first things that happens. Okay, you stimulate the glands. So you have various glands in your body. Take, for instance, the thyroid gland that works with the growth hormones. Okay, and like if you're overweight, and so that means that your thyroid gland is underactive. If you're underweight, your thyroid gland is overactive. Now, certain yogic postures and movements brings the glands into balance. So that makes that your whole body, your entire body becomes balanced. That's another thing. So practice stretching, the yogic postures and movements, work on your glandular body. They also work on your muscular skeletal body and puts that into alignment. They also work on your meridian lines, so your electrical circuits in your body, so the energy can flow easily through the body. Okay? All of this makes you whole. It makes you more of a whole person, more balanced. And of course, as you feel balanced, you're going to flow through life. That's how it is. So, exercise and why is it important and why men should do it, that's pretty much how it is. African yoga has a lot of similarities to a lot of other yogic practices. That's the first thing I want to state. It has similarities to a lot of the other practices out there. The main difference is that it does focus on rhythm. It has a component within it called hoodoo, which focus on the elements. Hoodoo is, best way to describe hoodoo is African Tai Chi. So it's nice, fluid, flowing motion that helps to bring the masculine and the feminine principles into unity, at working in complementary pairs rather than at odds with each other. So the practice focuses a lot on that. It works with the elements, earth, water, air, and fire. Because the elements, pretty much the elements gave birth to us. So we have to engage with the elements as well. And all of the elements we contain. We contain earth, water, air, and fire. We contain it. And we can also engage with these elements to get the best out of ourselves and to understand ourselves some more. When you're dealing with African yoga, you'll become more and more aware of your body because there is an emphasis in body awareness. Also, it emphasizes on the cleansing of the emotions, the emotional body, which we don't often focus on. And that's why we deal with particular elements, like for instance water. Water is an emotional element, and a river, it cleanses itself through its own current. So when our bodies are more fluid and flowing, what actually happens? We're actually cleansing our emotional body when we engage with fluid flowing movements. So one thing about African yoga is that it involves circular motion, which is feminine in principle. A lot of the other yogic practices deal with geometric shapes, lines, squares, and triangles. That's what they focus on. They focus on postures. African yoga has postures, but it also focuses on you just letting your body do its thing and flow naturally, fluid movements. It's different in the sense that it really emphasizes on you using your imagination. Why? Because when you use your imagination, you're utilizing your third eye. You're allowing your third eye to operate, to be less, what's the word I'm looking for? Calcified. To be less calcified. So when your third eye is open and not calcified, you can imagine things, you can manifest things, you can go into interdimensional spaces and back again. Your dreams can become lucid again, colorful and vibrant again. You can begin to see yourself in the dream state, and you can begin to bring certain things into being. So this is one of the powerful tools of the practice, and I guarantee that if you engage with African yoga, I'm putting my stamp on it, I'm putting my name on it, okay? If you engage in African yoga, you will dream. And not only will you dream, your third eye, your imaginary self will become more apparent. Your impersonal self will become more apparent. So how does it different? Well, another thing is that it's fast. It works very quickly on your flexibility, your movement, and your agility. It works really quick. And that's another thing about African yoga. It's rhythmic. It requires you to do it to the sound of the drum. And the drum is a really powerful tool because the drum relates back to our heartbeat. It relates back to the bang, the drum sound that you hear in the universe when the universe came into being. It goes all the way back to that. It goes back to you being in your womb, in your mother's womb, and listening to the beating of her heart. This is the power of the drum, and African yoga utilizes the drum as well. I would say whatever you need to stretch. There are particular parts of the body that brothers tend to come to me about: knees, hips, lower back. You know, they tend to be like the three big major ones. Stretch them. Keep stretching them. Find out how you can stretch them. You know, Google, YouTube. I'm on YouTube. You can check me out on YouTube. Find out how you can stretch certain parts of the body. You know, so that as well is really important. Do your research and get to stretching. When you're training, you're developing a lot of lactic acid in the body. So the thing about it is just to when you're stretching, you're actually releasing less of that lactic acid into your muscles, so that your training routine incorporating bringing in sorry your training routine bringing in stretching, or for instance, let's say African yoga with it, will actually stop you from that build and make your muscles more relaxed, your muscles more responsive, one, to training, but also it will improve the quickness of your recovery after training. So that's particularly why men, while they're training, it will help them to do stretches, it will help them to stretch more, it'll help them to know African yoga. Because if they know African yoga and they know what stretches to do and how to stretch in those stretches, how to bring the mind and the energy to the stretch, involve that energy into the stretch, knowing what to focus on, knowing the proper alignment to be in while you're in that stretch, then yes, it's going to enhance your training routine. Not only is it going to improve you energetically it's going to improve your mobility, and it's going to improve your strength, because you're going to be doing movements and then you're going to think, oh, you know what, after a while you're going to be like, oh, instead of me doing 5 of these, I can do 10, because it's going to improve you energetically. That's one of the things about African yoga, because not only are you going to be building your external body and your external strength, but you're going to be building your strength internally. You're going to be building that internal power and strength. So this is generally what I say to men who are working out. You gain strength by focusing on flexibility. It just happens anyway. It's a byproduct of focusing on your flexibility. If you focus on your flexibility, you will get stronger. But you cannot gain flexibility by focusing on strength. Okay? So if you focus on your flexibility, which means that you're stretching, which means that you're practicing yoga, which means that you're doing some African yoga, you're going to get strength. You may not get big, muscular, angular, but you will have internal power, internal strength.